Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome back to the Excellency Light League Week 7. My name is Fennec, now joined on the desk by Photography Raptor as we get ready to go for our second best of 2 of the night. Merciless take on ReDefy Unleashed, and Merciless needs to win this series 2-0 to keep their playoff hopes alive. Also hoping for Degenerates Reformed to not win a single game of their next series tonight. Photography Raptor, how are we feeling going into this BO2?
Feeling great. Had a lot of fun watching the last series. Those were some really fun games. Love seeing some good Xayah play as a Xayah main myself. As it looks like the picks and bans are getting started off. Nothing better than a game on the line. Now I know you were telling me Merciless is actually coming in fresh tonight. They didn't play their first set, so that I think that always plays into account with these sorts of things. You never know, like if either it's they've had a couple warm-ups or this is their first game of the day and maybe they're coming a little rusty.
Perhaps also ReDefy Unleashed did end up losing to Degenerate Esports.
Yep.
Although before tonight they were ranked number 2 in the league and still are guaranteed their playoff position. Merciless, sorry, not number 2 in the league. Excuse me. They were ranked number 4 in the league. Excuse me.
Okay.
And
still pretty secure.
Yeah, still pretty secure. And with the 0-2 loss, Florida State also lost 0-2. That time to Degenerates Reformed, so they are still tied for 4th place. They still have a guaranteed playoff position, but really just playing for, are you playing up against the number 3 seed in round 1, or are you playing up against, sorry, not against the number 3 seed, excuse me. They're going to be playing Florida State Esports regardless in round 1 of the playoffs, as ReDefy Unleashed will take on either Degenerates Reformed or Merciless. Not ReDefy Unleashed, Dark Side Academy. This is what happens when I'm reading a sheet and I don't have like a foldy sheet. I'm just like trying to remember how playoffs work.
Yep. How do seeds work? How do these things go together? But just to look and talk about some of the bands.
Jace has been banned away.
Yep, that's always interesting. I assume that's a target ban. There must be someone on ReDefy Unleashed who's actually a quite decent Jace player. Katarina, I also quite understand that champion right now. I think is a little bonkers. I think even especially in gold competitive, she can be viable. You know, you don't always necessarily have the levels of communication or coordination to really be able to shut her down, stop her from roaming, and just running away with a game. So better to just take it off the board if you're not ready for it.
Well, I mean, the other thing is if you play Galio, you can always play into the Katarina and just win that matchup outright. I think there are a lot of cases where it comes down to champion pool and like how exactly you're equipped to deal with it. I mean, if you really think it's that much of a threat and you don't play any anti-AP assassins in the mid lane, then just don't do it. Or anyone who can punish her by out shoving, right? Like Anivia traditionally is counter to Katarina. Even with those champions, a lot of times I've noticed in this elo. I mean, you even mentioned on the last cast, sometimes it's simply comfort over everything. Yeah.
And if it's someone who's that comfortable on a champion, I would rather take it away than strategize against it every day of the week.
That's true. Ash Karma, though, being picked up on the bot side with the Hecarim coming in for Merciless. Tristana being picked in response. Tristana, I think, probably the most played AD carry on this patch that I've seen in gold and plat leagues. Generally speaking, has been very, very strong in the lane stage and then late game. Still has the mid game power trough that we all know and love Tristana for. However, with the right lane partner, can be very impressive in lane, and it's going to be partnered with the Blitzcrank. So this Ash Karma's got to be very, very, very careful as the Ivern gets picked up. I'm looking for strong solo lanes here from ReDefy.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see kind of how they choose to round that out. I definitely agree that they need to show some strong solo lanes because this bot lane is going to have a rough time. I actually didn't like the Tristana pick in a vacuum there. I think whenever you're engaging onto something like Karma Ash, it's just so risky that it just starts to not even feel worth it after a time. But picking the Blitzcrank means you're always just taking one of them to you, and I think that's a lot safer for Trist and not having to jump in there. So I like the way they rounded out that bot lane. And overall, they're just coming out with a really aggressive go forward comp. So whenever you're playing into these types of situations, I'm already really looking for how Merciless can be proactive in the early game.
Indeed, and it's weird seeing Necrox on a champion other than Kai'Sa. We all know Necrox is the Kai'Sa one trick of the league, but yeah,
he did play both the games I cast actually.
Yeah, dude, He just always the Kai'Sa. Always the Kai'Sa with Necrox. Come
I
on.
mean, she's strong. She's strong. Like, I'm an AD carry main. I love playing Kai'Sa. Like, I just played a game of Kai'Sa earlier tonight.
Yeah, but it's just weird. It's new to me.
Yep.
Jokes aside, Aatrox and Cinder being banned away by ReDefy Unleashed, as it's the Fizz and Lucian, more banning towards that mid lane, trying to get a myth into a favorable matchup. That is their rank disparity. I think the 2 rank disparities for Merciless are Silver 2 jungle to plat 4 and Silver 1 to Gold 1 in the mid lane. While they do have the advantage of rank in that bottom lane with the Necrox and Dark Dragon, both being in gold, with Amethyst and Lamasoda, both being kind of silver, low gold at the moment. LeBlanc, though, being picked up. If a myth plays Galio, this is the matchup to do it in. Galio with Aftershock just absolutely craps on LeBlanc in lane. One of the matchups where you actually just lane kingdom the Galio and prevent the LB from roaming. There are other traditional counters you can pick up as well, such as the Veigar, if a myth wants to go in that route. We'll see what he decides to pick, though.
Yeah, I definnely...
Oh, it's Tristana mid.
Sorry.
What?
Oh, no. What? No. Pivot. I don't like that decision at all coming out from Merciless. I really think that's the moment you see that LeBlanc come through and you say, okay, we'll pivot this draft and we'll send the Tristana bot lane instead of mid. She's still just as strong, but there she actually has a chance to succeed with Blitzcrank pulling in one of those 2 immobile champions as opposed to sending her mid lane where I feel like she'll get dunked on for the entirety of laning phase.
Yeah, I don't see the reasoning behind it. Malphite being blind picked in the top lane. Anyone who's casted with
there's also no magic damage on this comp. What? I guess there's not any kind of traditional tank showing that can really punish it, but I mean, Malphite doesn't count as like a source of like true magic damage enough to at least like force anyone to build MR.
I'm just saying, so does Blitzcrank. It could be full AP Blitzcrank bot.
Yes, bring it to me.
Ornn being picked up in the top lane.
I like that. Man.
It's good to the Malphite. It punishes the blind Malphite just fine because Ornn does magic damage in lane.
It punishes the blind Malphite, and it also just stops Tristana and Misfortune and even Hecarim from existing, because Ornn is just going to stack straight armor. You don't need MR to deal with a Malphite in lane. It's nothing that you're going to have to need. So you can just go straight into armor, stack it, get your Thornmail, get your Tabbies, get your... I imagine... Ornn goes Sunfire, I imagine.
Most of the time goes Sunfire Aegis.
Yeah, so Sunfire would... Sunfire, Thornmail, Tabbies. This Ornn is never going to die, and as long as the LeBlanc is positioning halfway respectively, along with that backline, you can really just sit behind your Ornn and wait for the Malphite ulti to come out on whoever, and then you have 8 million shields coming from Karma Ivern, and it's just I don't see. At the very least, unless Merciless is very proactive in laning phase, they're able to rotate the Tristana a bit, find opportunities through the Hecarim, and then maybe start pulling away. And then they just have to never let up, because if they do it all, the scaling composition from ReDefy, I think, just takes over.
Yeah. The only thing I am kind of iffy about on ReDefy's comp, I think ReDefy's comp is the better comp here. Let's be real. But the only thing I'm iffy about is that they don't really have all that much late game damage. Like, yes, Ashe technically scales in the late game. And yeah, it's a single damage type from Merciless. But LeBlanc falls off at that 25-ish minute mark, like pretty much all AP assassins.
For the most part, I think it really depends also on how we see the Misfortune and the Tristana building, because I think those 2 champions, no matter what, LeBlanc will always be able to threaten. And so anytime LeBlanc's not showing on the map, MF can't ulti.
This is true. That's what Tristana is a mobile little pain in the A for some people. You could have picked Veigar if you know it was going to be Tristana mid, and then just pivoted. If it was Tristana bot, right? Like, I think Veigar,
I really
either team picking Veigar would have been great.
Veigar, I think especially when you're looking at a lane which already has a skill discrepancy that you know about going into it, as well as jungle, so you know that your mid jungle 2v2 is already kind of in danger of being gapped. Just pick something that's relatively safe. They're showing the Ivern already, so they're already willing to give you just like the
Yeah.
full ability to just clear and scale and basically not have to play the early game at all. But when you're putting yourself in a position to where, as the, at least in terms of individual solo queue rank discrepancy, they're just kind of seeding that. You take that every time.
Just like if either team picked Veigar or if Merciless picked Galio instead of this MF here, or Veigar, right?
Yeah,
I think this would. I would have liked
to see
this draft a lot
Malzahar
better.
too, to be honest. I think Malzahar for Merciless would have been honestly phenomenal because it stops the LeBlanc from ever really engaging onto the back line. It'll eat through the Ornn, who wants to build armor, and then yes, they'll be building shields, which can stop some stuff up. But you'll have a silence which can get all the way back there, which can really hurt that back line from even using their shields, and still allow the Tristana to at the very least have some freedom to not just get blown up.
Yeah, but unfortunately, coulda, shoulda, would. Yeah, I definitely favor ReDefy's draft here.
I do too. I'm not sure that Merciless will be able to really punish the kind of lack of an early game coming out from really anywhere but mid.
And on top of that, I also don't think that Merciless, once again, Merciless does more damage late, but if the LeBlanc can get a flank off, they don't really have any form of appeal, right?
Yeah.
And once Tristana and MF are off the table, well, it doesn't matter that the Ashe is a utility AD carry, because she's the highest source of damage on the field.
And I mean, Ashe, especially once she starts picking up, as long as she's positioning appropriately, can just output so much damage. And I imagine Hecarim and Malphite won't even be able to get to her at that point. So it's just kind of like you're engaging, but then you kind of can't go anywhere. And then when you can't go anywhere and no one's dead because Karma Ivrin's been shielding everybody up and you have an Ornn on top of you, it's just one of those situations where, yes, you out damage them, but if you can't out damage their shields and their healing, because I really hope to see a Moonstone from Karma this game. I think if I don't see a Moonstone from Karma this game, she's kind of trolling. But if you can't out damage that, then it doesn't matter if you have more damage than them because they just have more sustain.
That being said, though, we're going to take a quick break as we get ready to go for this first game of the second set of the 7th and final week of Excellency Light Week. Merciless versus ReDefy will continue after the break.
Such a tale of
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and bees of all ages, welcome back to the Excellency Light League. My name is Fennec, joined on the desk today by Photography Raptor, and we are getting ready to go with game number 1 of our second set of the night, this time between Merciless and ReDefy Unleashed. And on the blue side, of course, it is Merciless.
They're opting for the level 1.
Ah!
So
well, I mean, there's a counter invade, too. Okay, quick directions. Merciless on the blue side, Gold Fan on the top lane, French in the jungle, a Myth in the mid lane, and Necrox and Dark Dragon 3760 in the support role. The counter gank is already here. They find their way out of the blitz. Crank! Goodbye, Dark Dragon. He's very low. Ronin flashes forward, gets the kill, and Gold Fan not long behind Lemon Soda with that one. GG, well played, ReDefy Unleashed. Gonna go ahead and knock Merciless out of this one.
Yep. Every time
you think I'm joking, but I'm not.
You know there's an invade coming. So it's the level 1 with a Blitzcrank is always the biggest mind game, and I love seeing how different teams adapt to it and play it, because in this case the Blitzcrank team picks the most traditional route of just, okay, we will walk in through bot lane and hope to find someone sitting out, but it kind of almost in anticipation that they would do the most standard route. You just have everyone 5 stack in that little bush. They walk in, they blind check it, no less. And then it's the instant fight. You have a decent amount of AoE abilities coming out from the side of ReDefy, and they just wipe up the fight.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of facetious with the GGWP. Merciless are out, but it's 1,000 gold deficit at the 1 minute mark, and Hecarim's also getting 3 buffed.
On top of that, you also have Ivern instantly going to steal the Hecarim's blue, so like it's just, that's just a lot going wrong right away. Even though as my man Dark Dragon took my MVP in the last series I casted him in, gets a hook in the bot lane, I'm still just a little worried. You're gonna need a few more of those before you can really start to threaten anything. And I mean, Orange just.
I mean, it's a 5-man counter invade as well, so everyone gets the XP from that. As well as the additional 50 gold. And despite this hook coming in, Necrox and Dark Dragon have the level 2 advantage. But, you know, you get the flash and the heal. It's really good to get that from Amethyst. You trade your Ignite, but you need the Hecarim to come down bot, and he's stuck clearing top side without a blue buff.
Yeah, it's a little rough, I think, right now. If you're French, I think going straight up to your blue and finding out that it's not there is a huge waste of time, because now you're just gonna get out cleared by the Ivern. He goes back with a couple of his camps already ready to go, and now the Hecarim, he's not even gonna go check the enemy jungle. So at the very least, he should get this bot side crab uncontested. So, you know, kind of gets something for his trouble there, but like.
I mean, you might check the Ivern blue. If he does, he'll be able to grab.
Yeah, maybe.
Jungle proximity bot. Us down to 200. They're looking for the dive. Amethyst finally taken down by French.
He gets it. Yeah, so I mean, good job from French there of at the very least zooming on in. He's able to clean up the Ashe. That's just Amethyst staying in lane a little bit too low. That's just a little bit of disrespect, I'd say, knowing how big of a trade you took earlier. You kind of just need to be farther back there.
On though. Myth could be fine. The distortion rocket jump out of the way, but still rooted up by Rona. Lemon Soda actually takes the blue buff on here. Out of the
Yeah, I wish the Hecarim would have at the very least invaded off of that kill a little bit to at least look for some vision or something like that. Enemy jungle is completely dark. Meanwhile, you've got these kind of shallow wards in the blue side jungle for Merciless. So it's just not. They don't want that. Like, if you're Merciless, I want to see them clearing that vision out sooner rather than later. Because you're just trying to protect your Ashe Karma at this point. You know, top lane, you can just let it scale and farm, but you really do want to make sure that this isn't happening repeatedly to your bot lane, because that is one of your lose conditions.
At the same time, though, right? LeBlanc's still 1-0-1, even in CS in the mid lane, but with the 500 gold advantage that she has, plus the 3 Dark Seal, this is going to be very, very difficult for a Myth to actually recover from.
Oh yeah, just any like we were talking about, any kind of early advantage coming out for the LeBlanc is just absolutely massive.
Yeah, and top side, Danny Phantom winning these trades on a gold fan or does more damage early than Malphite, and Grasp of the Undying actually getting super punished here. Like, I mean, I always say, no matter what, you go for Arcane Comet on Malphite, unless you know that you're up against someone who you can actually trade Grasp on, but even then, the 250 free gold, or free mana is too much. Amethyst knocked back in by French, knock up Lancer, and the Blitzcrank as well as the hook. Amethyst be taken down here by Necrox. And you were talking about that lose condition. Definitely not playing weak side, or as weak side as you should be. It's very tempting to push out that lane as the Ash Karma, but you just need to not let it push.
And Dark Dragon he does play these hook champions very well. The last time I saw it was on Thresh, but he's had pretty good success rate with these. Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, MB gone, down to 400 health, has to flash out of the way. French diving a little bit too deep, though, as Lemon Soda flashes over. Here comes Ronin with the double distortion, unable to get out onto French. As Danny Phantom has TP'd down. Here's what the call. It's the Forge God, picks up the kill onto the Hecarim, and now Merciless are on the run. Should be Dragon going over to ReDefy Unleashed.
Yeah, that looked very dangerous for ReDefy Unleashed there. Great teleport out from Danny Phantom. He kind of just saved his team there because they were able to chase that into the jungle, and if they were able to clean up any of those kills, you do run the danger of this early game composition just kind of running away with the game a bit. Dark Dragon and Necrox, I mean, they're fishing, really, but like it's at this point just go somewhere and do something else.
Dragon Tank is so slow here, though. French is around, so they might look for it. Let's hear with the Buster Shot. I mean, they come in.
Oh, they took too
much
much damage.
Last cone over, French with the Ghost on a Lemon Soda. He's going to be shielded up very, very quickly, though, as Look finally lands on our Danny Phantom. Bomb goes down, flash forward to Myth, picks up the kill, gets the Rocket Jump reset, goes forward on a Lemon Soda. The Ronin's around, looking for the root, no Rocket Jump reset available, and the Buster Shot not going to be used as it was already used on the enemy top laner. Now that they have the inside on this Dragon, they are down as far as health bars are concerned. Lemon Soda has Mantra Q. Seconds here. He is taken out very low, puts out the E onto himself. French taken out again, and Amethyst picks up the kill now. Crocs rooted up, taken out by the Mantra Q, and the double kill goes over to Amethyst. Now Dark Dragon down to 100 health. Amethyst is around, picks up the triple for good measure.
Wow.
On the side here. TP'd and Rocket Jump forward. No. What are you doing, Tristana? Gets a bomb kill onto the enemy jungler, but
no one's taken the dragon yet. They can't get it. They're too low.
Oh wait, what? What?
No.
What? Lemon Soda, you can't be taking that up, and the dragon goes back to full health.
The mountain dragon that never died. I think mountain drake is the hardest level 1 drake to take. It does a lot of damage. I don't know the full mechanics as why, but it's tanky. It does a lot of damage, and it's all AoE. So you have this really low early game damage team trying to do this drake desperately. I mean, they played the fight honestly extremely well. I think you really got to see already how some of just all of these shields can be so annoying, and it just makes it what would otherwise be a confirmed kill just vanish. So I mean, it's just something that they'll have to continue to watch out for as they play. It's the most worrying part of how that draft needs to work, because you have to secure those kills. You have to be able to then turn back and get those objectives, because for a second it looked like Merciless did turn it around and get it, but then they kind of made the same mistake of focusing too hard on the Drake.
Yeah, and when you call soft Drake, you're supposed to actually earn.
Yeah, and I don't even think that from what it looked like, the call wasn't even soft. It looks like they weren't playing to turn. They wanted the Drake, and I think that's just whoever is like the primary shot caller for this team just kind of needs to understand what they need to do and where their win condition lies. Is, oh no, someone's starting the Mountain Drake again.
Yeah, but this one's gonna be uncontested, as they have bot prio as well as mid prio, so.
Yeah,
finally taken by ReDefy.
And they've just been really willing to force Danny to kind of sack his lane, just to help them secure up these Drakes. I mean, he's 14 CS down, already at least like a level, maybe a little over a level, maybe a little under. But it again, it doesn't really matter, because in the long term, ensuring you're getting those early Drakes, I think for the scaling team is even better.
Rocket jump forward, gets the reset. French dives under tower, pops the hacker ult, and drops down, but he gets taken down by Gone in the meantime, or should be at least. But Ivern does 0 damage. Gone finally picks it up.
Gets him eventually.
Gets him eventually. A myth blast comes over, gets the bomb down. Daisy pops, Buster shot, and the myth picks up the kill. Actually, no Buster shot. Yeah, and then
I think that's just a very late call for the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Yeah. Wow. Gold dead even now.
This is a very back and forth game as we have Danny Phantom engaging on a gold fan.
This gold graph is looking like the GameStop prices right now. Like one day it's up, and then the next it's down, and then the next it's up and down. It's like, can't predict that. Regardless, I mean, ReDefy, they're trying to hold on to the moon, as it were, but Merciless might be shorting a little bit. We'll see how this works. Bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it plays out.
I'm hoping to kind of see, at the very least from ReDefy's state, just kind of lulling the game out a bit, just letting your scaling comp continue to do so. Maybe look for a LeBlanc room. You've already kind of started to take hold.
Oh no, Dark Dragon. He's been baited. Gone's here. Let's crank, popping the ultimate. Lemon Soda down to half health. Summoner heal used, but the double root already lands. Now Dark Dragon taking down very low as well as Necrox. Amictos almost gets the kill. Just unfortunately able to go back down. Here comes Dark Dragon though. Hooks a cannon.
Ooh.
70 gold to Necrox though.
Yeah, just a classic case of split target there, not really communicating, I assume, to get on the same page in who the correct target is. You had one, I think it was Karma going for Necrox as well as and Be Gone, but I mean, just Amethos kind of hitting Dark Dragon.
Begon's still here!
Gosh, no!
Dark Dragon, what are you doing? Flash is out of the way, but Daisy's already been channeled, and here comes Gold Fan. Does not have the unstoppable force. I'm not sure why you're teleporting bot side. This just gives a huge advantage to Orin top side.
Yeah, that
Begon goes back mid.
Yeah, all that experience and kind of CS advantage that Malphite had been able to gain.
Oh, Ronan. Goodbye.
No.
Bomb should get the kill. Yeah, French should not have taken that, and it's good on him for not doing so. And he Phantom's here, and Enchanted Crystal Arrow gets the stun down, but it's onto the Malphite. Double knockout.
And another kind of wasted teleport, I'd say.
Yeah, a bit. Does have Call of the Forge God, though. Might be for it.
Yeah, but the unstoppable force for Gold Fan's back up as well. I don't think this
French
is diveable.
chunked down very low. Knock up into the unstoppable onslaught, or onslaught of shadows, excuse me. Shutdown goes over to a myth. As Gold Fan picks up Danny Phantom.
I'm so confused as to why they just took that fight.
I'm not sure either. I think both these teams are trying to push tempo, but you need to push the right tempo.
You're playing scaling composition. You can't push tempo. The whole point is that the whole reason they were even in a position to do anything like this was because they had been playing their composition correctly, which is just kind of letting the enemy team int into you and all of your shields and healing. But I don't know. Also, the Staff of Flowing Water coming out for Be Gone before the Moonstone. Don't know how I feel about that one.
I mean, I kind of understand it, right? Because you already have Moonstone on Lemon Soda, so one's given.
I think they need the healing though. I think, like, as we've seen, there's just so much like engage burst coming out from Merciless that you need all of the sustain you can get as early as possible.
Meantime, though, Mythics come out for French. He went for the phase rush, so we didn't really mention it, but we know for a fact that that means the Chem Tank, which you have, as well as the Gale Force for the Miss for Necrox and a Myth. Kraken Slayer completed Amethos in the meantime. We already mentioned the newer Lemon Soda with the ever-present Empire Aegis. Top lane for Danny Phantom. Or in the meantime, speaking of, he trades that Cloud Dragon for the first tower of the game.
Yeah, you do trade that tower on the top side, which is you always want some kind of trade on those kind of objectives. And I do think it was smart of them to not try and they contest that Drake. I think with as strong as Ameth is right now, that's just not anything you can look at.
Regardless, 1,000 gold ahead are Merciless. They are down a tower. And Danny Phantom actually becoming a split push threat, weirdly enough, on this one. Not something you typically see, but the constant roaming from Goldfan, which has not really been turning up too much, it's led to Danny Phantom being, the split push threat instead of Ronin. But, time being, tower is traded back. Chain of Crystal Era finally lands on a Necrox, and Danny Phantom's down, gets the knock up with the Cult of the Forge God. Necrox goes down as the TP comes in from a Myth, trying to get damage down on a Lemon Soda, unable to get the reset on the rocket jump though, as the bomb not fully stacked. Myth rocket jumps forward, rooted up by the Karma though, and shut down. Goes over to Ronin. 3 for 0, going over to ReDefy Unleashed, and they pick up their second tower of the game with Daisy plus Demolish.
Yeah, solid just team play out coming out from them. I feel like they've been playing the map pretty well as a unit, despite some of, I think, the decision making being wrong. At the very least, the concept behind it is there, where they're all playing together. I like that, they're very willing to kind of just pull Danny from wherever he is and whatever he's doing, and just send him where the team is, because I think that's just especially what you need. You really need your front line with this composition for him to be able to do some kind of a threat, especially in this early to getting into early mid game stage where Ornn can actually threaten damage.
So taking a look at the individual gold leads, gold is relatively even. A Myth, about 700 gold up on Ronin, as the equalizing split between Ornn and the...
Yeah, and I do like that they've sent Ronin to this to the top lane, but I don't leave the top lane. Farm. You're a little behind in farm right now, and I like that they're kind of slowing the game down and giving Ronin a chance to get some CS, get some gold in his pocket, because I think that CS gap is going to definitely add up when you talk about Tristana getting to that late game spike earlier.
But she's heading into the mid game trough soon. This is where LeBlanc should end up spiking, right? She's a very hard mid-game spiker, and being down 600 gold doesn't feel great at the moment, but at the same time, it's nothing a fight can't fix, or a pick, at least Amethyst of getting picked. Shut down, goes over to French instead of a Myth. I think you could have handed that one over to Donna. She got the fully stacked bomb. Could have jumped in with the reset rocket jump, so maybe a slight miscommunication coming in from Merciless. As this is tank Hecarim. He doesn't do as much with gold as Divine Sunder build. So, yeah. Give it to your kid.
Yeah, I like the tank Hecarim build in this game. Like we've talked about, there's so much damage coming out from Tristana and Misfortune that you don't necessarily need to have another force coming out in Hecarim. I think you do run the risk of him. He really won't be able to damage set the backline, even if he had gone a damage build, just with all of the sustain they do have. So just making sure you're buying as much time as possible for your carries to get their damage off is really important. But I think for ReDefy's side, they're starting to come into their own, and they're starting to move in this 5v5. But we still haven't really gotten a true 5v5 yet, so I imagine we'll get one probably on the next Drake as that comes to pass, and I think that will be very telling for how the game plays out from here.
And Merciless, right? They're in this kind of, well, our Misfortune is strong, our Hecarim is actually strong right now, kind of mindset. And I think they want to push this tempo, right? They don't want to let the Ashe get online, but they still have decent. And she's actually won up against the LeBlanc, which is one of their win cons. French, though, diving into the backline with the Ghost, as well as the onslaught of shadows. Amethyst gets dove upon as well by the Unstoppable Force, and that is a Dan Ashe as Myth picks up Ronin in the side of the fight. And Merciless, they need to win this game and the next one for to have a hope of making play. they're looking at a very
and
good
that
spot
kind
for
of
that.
quick little like skirmish almost, where you see two people, you go for them, you send everything at them, you just hit it hard, and then you take out the two carries and you instantly move to the objective. That's exactly how Merciless needs to be playing this team comp, and they can't let that up at any point. Every time they have their ultimates available, they have to be looking for these kind of plays, because if you let this kind of slow 5v5 front to back build up, that's where I get worried for them. But I think watching how they played that was a great sign. But Amos not necessarily biting off more than he can chew, but just flexing a little bit, just seeing how far he can take it.
Perhaps. But at the same time, 2,000 gold up minutes. Nothing to sneeze at for Merciless. And they're in a very good spot. Playing how they need to. They need to pick up 2 wins this series. Definitely a bit scrappier than I think you would like if you are trying to vie for playoff contention. I think, despite the fact that there's 2.4 thousand gold in the lead, the game still kind of rests on a knife's edge, where, one Call of the Forge God, plus damage coming in from Amethyst once it gets the Runon's Hurricane Spike, can completely and totally kill your team.
Yeah, but I think that's where they drafted themselves into. I honestly think they drafted themselves into a situation where they have to keep the game chaotic. And if the game is ever not chaotic and you give ReDefy a chance to just to get coordinated and to just kind of build up, that's where I think they start to lose. And I don't necessarily know if they have the damage to break through all the shielding and the sustain. So it's I actually like that they're playing the game kind of scrappy and not, because I don't really think they can take like a traditional path forward.
Same time though, looking at itemization, Tristana's about half an item up on Ronan, as she has the completed LDR. It doesn't really give that much effect against shields, as shields don't give resists. Really only good up against this Ornn here. I would have liked to see... I think the Kraken Slayer was fine, but I would have liked to see maybe something like the Essence Reaver coming in from a second item.
Yeah,
or not
you could have
Essence
done
Reaver,
that.
PD,
I think
Phantom Dancer.
Yeah, I think the Phantom Dancer, honestly, even the Rapid Fire, both would have been better choices for Amos there than the LDR. Agreed. You're looking to get through the Ornn, but that's not really your job as Tristana mid. That's kind of what you're hoping the MF can do. And meanwhile, the MF is going for the Collector, which is pretty typical. That is what MF tends to go second when you're playing this kind of ulting MF that isn't really going to be able to get much off. Outside of just trying to burn through everybody, but it's not the worst. I'd say LDR is a very efficient item right now.
So passive from MB gone as that's a knock up on no fight.
Yeah, everything will probably just slow down for another little bit here. You'll probably have Merciless continue to fish for these kind of like, oh, can we get a pick? Can we get a pick? Can we get a pick? But as long as ReDefy is able to just kind of fend them off, then there's not a whole lot that will be able to happen.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a trade. Ornn for Tristana.
Yeah.
Worth it any day of the week for ReDefy Unleashed.
Yeah, I mean, going on to Ornn isn't everything you want. That's not exactly where you want a bunch of gold going on. It's not like Danny got a shutdown there.
It's not the Collector. Take a look.
Oh, wow. I like that. I actually really, really like that Serpent's Fang. I think that's a really smart adaptation coming up from Necrox. I think the item this is the buff version too, right? Yeah, it is. It gives it's the shield grievous wounds equivalent. I don't think there's an official name for it yet. Shield Reaver is the name of the passive, but I really, really like that adaptation in the MF build there. I think getting that AoE MF ultimate off, just kind of stopping any of those shields from coming down as effectively, is going to be very influential in these next fights, and honestly gives their 5v5 some kind of a hope. The only other thing I'm noting is that there's no grievous wounds yet.
Yeah, but I mean, there isn't too much in the way of healing. I mean, yes, you have
Double
Moonstaff,
Moonstone,
but
Double Moonstone.
Yes, but also it's not like you've got like a Yumi or a Soraka or like a Mundo or something like that. French diving into the back line though. Looks for Amethyst, but he's caught up with the Enchanted Crystalero, and Begon's here, and now they're in a 2v4 as Ronan picks up a myth on the side of the fight, and it's already a 1-for-0. Ronan forced to pop the stopwatch as Goldfan has a flash out of the way, down to 200 health. Ronan distortion over the wall, as then Begon's here with the root onto Dark Dragon. Danny Phantom gets the knockup on a 2 members, as then pops the ultimate Dark Dragon, down to 400 health as Danny Phantom looks for the follow-up. Daisy's here as well.
No,
Necrox taken down by the Ash of Amethyst.
What was
That's
that?
a 2-4-0. They're on to the Dragon, spawning in 7 seconds. Merciless should not be able to contest this one.
Yeah, so just off the start of that fight, LeBlanc catching out Ameth, just Ronan being able to find that kill, super important, because anytime that Ameth goes down that early in the fight, it immediately means that one of their primary sources of damage is immediately cut off. So even though you're trading Ronan off the back of it, I'd say that's way better for ReDefy, because they are able to sustain up the Ash. That Amethyst played a really great positioning there of just not letting anyone engage on him and just making sure that he was far back enough, as ReDefy is looking for... Nope, they can't find it. Great W coming out there from Danny to stop up the hook. Just solid mechanical play there. But as a whole, I really like the way that they kind of set that up and played it around it. I think that's exactly what I've been looking for in how they kind of play out these dragon fights. The last couple, they haven't really been able to get to the stage where they set up, because Merciless was able to find them out before. But this time you're able to set up with Ronan on a flank, your Ornn in front with your Karma and your Ivern able to peel the Ash, and then they just slowly chase it all back. LeBlanc trades herself for 1, Necrox gets an ult out that does nothing, and then just kind of ints after his team's running away, and I mean ReDefy from there just cleans up.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it an end. I think it was a little bit far forward.
That was a little bit of an end. So what happened was he was walking in trying to greed for Lemon, but you, as an AD carry, you can't walk forward while your team is walking back, and it just instantly opened him up to just get full on engaged on with no sort of peel at all. So
a missed position.
No, I'm talking about Necrox's.
No, so a missed position from Necrox. I'm not calling it an end.
It would be a misposition, I would say, if he started off a little bit too far up. But when you see you're not like, obviously not intentional, but like it's just one of those things where I think that is very basic positioning for AD carries. Of if you see your team backing off, you can't move in the opposite direction.
Meantime, though, Gold still in favor of Merciless, but after that lost fight and seeing the team fight power that Ronan plus Danny Phantom plus Amethyst has, it's turning very scary. Benogast Mirror also picked up by Ambigon in addition to the Moonstone and Staff of Flowing Water, so going into even more. Ronan picked up with that on. Redon's Hurricane, importantly, was actually completed right before that dragon fight, which was also what won them that fight, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really huge spike for Amethyst there.
Yeah, because like that 2-item spike on Ashe, I think, is one of the stronger 2-item spikes on AD carries. Yes, she's a utility AD carry. Yes, she doesn't do all that much damage, but just like.
You keep saying that. I think Ashe does a ton of damage right now. Like, if you're able to get in these kind of good positions in these kind of fights where you're getting engaged on, and you have a front line that can stop up the engage, Ashe free firing with Q, and especially, like you said, once she hits these 2 items, outputs a ton of sustained damage. What I mean
is compared to, say, like a Jinx or Tristana, right? Like, in a similar position, granted, Tristana doesn't have as much mid-game damage. It's more late game and early game focused. Yeah. But like traditionally, when you think of Ashe, you think utility AD carries. You think of being able to hit the ult button, and yes, pumps out damage in fights. But her base numbers are lower than a lot of other ADCs.
Yeah, she's very dependent on having a decent amount of attack speed, and then these kind of passive upgrades from like Kraken and Rudan's.
Yeah, it's in the same vein as, when attack speed Varus is very popular. It's not because he's a tank shredder or, like, just has a lot of high base damages, because Varus's base damage is laughably low. That's why his lane phase is really bad unless he's going for the lethality build. But it's the same kind of idea where you're trading... Essentially what you're doing with Varus and what you're doing with the Ashe is you're trading base damages for an insanely strong passive, right? In Varus' case, it's a passive that you have to level up, right? In the Bladed Quiver. In Ash's case, it just is inherently the Frost Shot, enabling you and your team to have more control over a fight. With those Rune-On's Hurricane plus Qs, right? Just constantly slowing down the enemy.
It's also very dependent on being able to get multiple autos off, and because you're scaling that damage up through the passive with every auto. So in those kind of situations, ensuring that you can get multiple autos off at the same target is really important.
Yeah, which is what her Q's built for, right? Like that's kind of why Ashe is generally considered meta agnostic. Like, there are times when she's strong, and there are times when she's not typically the pick you want to go. But if you want to pick a utility A to carry, Ashe is always an option. Whereas, other utilities like Varus are very dependent on, his base numbers and what items are strong. Meanwhile, they're positioning around this dragon.
Is much less of a utility A to carry when you're only really looking at his ult as any kind of real utility.
This is true. Danny Phantom, though, unable to get the knock-up in with that. Here goes French. Look at... No, why are you going on to Danny Phantom? That's the wrong person to go. Call the Force God. Gonna be a swing and a miss in the meantime as Goldfen dives to the backline, but he's only able to get onto one carry, and they dodge out of the bullet time. Ronan, though, he's very, very low. Pops the stopwatch, distortion back out. Danny Phantom now on to Dark Dragon. 3706 as Danny Phantom and Amethyst pick up the kill, and Akrox are able to trade back that one onto a myth as well. 2-4-1. The Ashe is dead, but the damage is already done. French taken down, and Goldfen not long for the world. Dark Dragon has a hook, finds Lemon Soda, but it's too little too late. So Portal Combat benefits the Karma. That's a 4v1 for ReDefy Unleashed. They grab their third dragon of the game, and Soul Point for ReDefy.
That whole fight entirely hinged on whether or not Ronan would die from Amith's bomb or from any kind of auto as he was coming out of his Zhonya's. Literally the whole fight, because if Amith starts getting resets and is able to really repositioning, then I think the fight goes much differently. Yes, you have kind of a couple of whiffed ults off the start of it. I think Necrox's ult was ultimately very weak, and yes, you kind of ulted in the choke point, but there's no one in it. They've already kind of all dispersed from there. So I think you can just continue to hold it, because at a certain point, your ultimate is still a bigger threat down than just hitting nothing. So but even on top of that, there was a great flash, I think, from Amethyst. It looked like a flash. No, that was that was a flash. Oh, I have a spectator bug.
Yeah.
So Amethyst did flash.
He does not have a Gale Force.
Yes, his flash is bugged on my screen, but that was a great flash coming out to dodge the unstoppable force and then just start free firing on like we've been talking about for the last couple of minutes. So just overall, I think ReDefy played that exactly to how their comp wants to and to their overall win condition. You have Ronan, who actually doesn't even have to trade his life to put pressure onto the backline, is able to get out, kind of rejoin the fight later, while you have Amith, who'd been focusing him down the whole time. Amethyst is chewing through your front line, unable to die, all the healing and shielding going on. I mean, Danny honestly took a very reckless engage, but just isn't able to be punished for it because of all the healing and shielding.
Thank you for the raid, Upsurge. Those of you tuning in from the UCL quarterfinals, casted by, my main man, Frank Nightstar Pang, and Caster Audio as well. This is last week of the Excellency Light League regular season, as Goldfen is taken out very low, but the MF Ultimate actually does what it needs to do, and now Necrox, he's on the run from Ronan, who is able to get the blink out of the way. Myth, though, he's got the rocket run G-set, triple kill, picks up the Quadra, and now Danny Phantom, last member of his team, alive. Fortunately for Myth, won't be able to go down on that, but it is the Baron for Merciless.
Amith finally finds a great flank onto Amethyst, while at the same time Necrox finds probably the best ultimate that he's had all game, going on to multiple members. Meanwhile, Amith just absolutely shreds through Amethyst, starts getting resets, starts jumping around, doing Tristana things, and secures what is the delayed Penta?
Nope, it's just a full-on Penta.
Oh, there we go, Penta kill. Congratulations to Amith for that one. I think they've just really shown up this game and have honestly been playing to the way their comp needs to in these last couple of fights. Yes, they took a couple of straight 5v5s like they shouldn't, but for the most part, they've really recognized what has to win and where it needs to go from, and now I think they've kind of started adapting even more, and Amith kind of realizes what his job needs to be.
Yeah, just Very well played from a myth here on this Tristana pickup, now on 4 items. We were kind of criticizing this LDR from Tristana, but actually Necrox on the MF also picked up the LDR. Maybe they know something we don't. Last I remember, shields don't give stats. I think there's shields are just for HP, right?
I love LDR. Yeah, like I love LDR as a 3rd item a lot of the time. I think, you have Orin just full stacking armor, so I think if they're not building it, I do think they struggle to get through him at some point. But even then, he didn't even die in that last fight, so it's do you really? But like as we saw, at the very least, Amith is still able to put out plenty of damage even without it. He's picked up his IE now, but I mean, on the MF, I think maybe it's just kind of deceptive. Like, you feel like people are much tankier than they are because, I'm ulting, I'm free firing, and no one's dying because of all the shields. But
call the Force God. Getting interrupted by the unstoppable Force. So both of those teamfight ultimates are down, but the knockup's already landed from Danny Phantom. Here comes the bullet time. Charge to the backline. Ronan gets chunked out for quite a bit of health as the Samothos French able to get the pick as the myth now goes forward, getting all the damage down onto Danny Phantom. Finds the buster shot onto Ronan as Necrox picks up the kill onto the enemy tank as Flareman Soda has to flash out of the way and be gone. Feared up by the Onslaught of Shadows in the meantime, though, as French picks up the kill. 3-4-0 for Merciless.
Oh, this TP from Amith to the bot lane, though, that's going to put a lot of pressure down as they're pushing up the mid lane. So that's at the very least securing an inhibitor as well as the inner turret, and probably even more. I do think they could end off this if everyone ran bot lane right now. I don't think you necessarily need to push through mid. I'd really just ignore it. Just ignore it. Just go in the game with Amith. Just go in the game. Okay, so they're choosing to not end the game.
I mean, they're going to try, though.
The game was over. I mean, like, yes, they get a ton off that. They could have ended the game. They chose not to. I guess they wanted a little bit more time in the limelight, a little more time to show that they did not get outdrafted and they can, in fact, play to this kind of very chaotic win conditions they've created themselves.
Yeah, but 3 minutes 15 on the Baron and another 5 minutes for the soul fight.
Yep.
And they've extended the gold lead, right? They're 5,000 gold ahead at this 37-minute mark. The late game of this Ashe and of this Ornn needs to come online for them, but the Tristana's already there, right? Has 4 items building into the Guardian Angel, and the Ornn still hasn't upgraded the Kraken Slayer. Instead, opting to upgrade the Moonstone Renewers. I forgot it's Starcaster is the tournament name.
Yeah, that's a questionable decision. I think you need the Ashe and LeBlanc to be outputting as much damage as possible. Not sure why he's upgraded both Moonstone Renewers instead of the 2 damage dealers that have to be able to find success.
Yeah, on a myth as well. So now, fully slotted, can sell the boots for something else later, but that's not going to be for another 10 minutes at least.
And I do think we've hit a point in the game where
French, they find Amethyst.
Engage,
Danny Phantom finds the 3-man knockup, flashes out of the way, but the rocket jump reset had already come in, and a myth picks up the kill. Necrox actually with the kill credit there.
Yep. So just catching them out as they're going for some vision.
French though.
Yeah.
Horse things. Onslaught of Shadows onto MB on bomb though. There's 25 seconds left on the Ashe. They're going to be able to push in onto these turrets. Teamfight ultimates are not there. Turrets down. Hook onto Gone. Knock up. There's the kill. Necrox on a killing spree. The rocket jump forward onto Ronan. There is the bullet time. The Nexus is falling. Nothing to come out here for ReDefy Unleashed as Merciless win the do or die game, but they still need to win the next one to get a chance at playoffs. In the meantime, though, Generates Reformed pick up a win in that series that they are playing up against Darkside Academy, if I'm not mistaken. So, with that, ReDefy, technically, if they 2-0 sweep, has a chance at playoffs. If they 2-0 sweep both this and the next one. So I misspoke there. So they still have a chance. However, they need to win the next game 100% because they have a very, very tough match ahead of them off the reschedule
Yeah,
Um,
I